Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason Israel. I'll be the host and moderator for today's podcast. Our panel of guests that are here with us today are Matt Wagner, Motion Specialist for Siemens, and Bobby Cole, President of Think-PLC.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. I appreciate you being a industry leader in helping with our podcast. And Matt, thank you. Welcome to our facility, our new facility here in Welcome, North Carolina. Was talking to Matt a little earlier, and coming in on the highway, he saw welcome and an arrow sign, and God bless him because he made the turn. He didn't know the town was called Welcome. So
yeah. I thought you guys were just real friendly here.
Yeah, yeah, we are. No, so behind us you see a lot of test equipment. This is actually our testing area for control systems. After we build them, we actually set them up, power them up, and we do our initial communications test and what's called a software acceptance test before they ship.
Excellent. Matt, I know that you and Bobby have had a relationship for quite a while. If you could please elaborate on Siemens' relationship with Think-PLC?
Well, Siemens' relationship with Think-PLC started actually long before I joined the company. I've been with Siemens since I graduated college about 3.5 years ago. And kind of since that time, me and Bobby started working together pretty frequently and have been real good partners and
Weekly
friends.
almost, yeah.
Yeah, we talk almost every other day these days. But so we've had a good professional relationship and become pretty good friends over the last couple of years. But I think the relationship between Think-PLC and Siemens dates back to, what, the early 2000s?
Yeah, it goes way back, and I appreciate you dating me here. Yeah, it goes back to about 2004, and it really surrounds about local industry here. When I started doing consulting work in the Triad area of North Carolina, we had plastics, we had the Dell computer plant, and I saw a need for someone who was knowledgeable with Siemens controls. And a lot of the equipment coming in from Europe had Siemens. With the involvement and investment from Johnson City, Tennessee, locally here, we just started seeing it a lot. And involved with a community college here local, I started helping teach and champion the product as early as 2004.
Well, excellent. Now, Siemens has recently highlighted achievements by working with Think-PLC's solutions in automation products and have recently marketed that success by calling it Recipe for Success, which will soon be available in a web format. Bobby and Matt, can you describe how your customer, Krispy Kreme, Donuts Incorporated, a company that owns, operates, and franchises retail stores that sells donuts and complementary products worldwide, is innovative not only in the food and beverage industry, but also in technology and manufacturing?
Yeah, the fact they build their own machine. They close to the supply chain as far as technology and what makes their product so good. They have full control of it. We've been blessed and fortunate, I have, for the last 10 years. I know Siemens dates back to about 2000, 2001, where Krispy Kreme had a global initiative to take their stores around the world. And so to do that, they made a decision to use the Siemens product so they could get support, and obviously the quality of it was unmatched. So it just made sense for them to choose that as their automation supplier.
Right.
But it really goes back to being a company that we think of as being a donut maker. They're actually an innovative machine builder.
Well, on that note, can you give me some examples of some of the innovative things that you are doing with Krispy Kreme, like the retrofit kits, for example? Yeah,
the retrofit kits, that's a big one. So Krispy Kreme has been around for some time now, and they're starting to see a phase or a life cycle of the products they've selected over the years, and inherently through technology changing and source of products and things just getting better. That's why we still don't drive a Ford Pinto, right? We have the Ford Mustang or whatever now still. It's been around a while. But so innovating with those guys has been creating retrofit kits so that major investments aren't needed to keep their stores running, keep the product coming off the end of the line. We can do these quick kits. The Siemens group has done an amazing job of making products back compatible, so we can slowly phase the products into the systems as we go, and inherently making them more cost effective and just making the blunt of that cost be less.
Right, and that's one of the big things for Krispy Kreme, moving from the older technology to the new technology. we try whenever we come out with new products to make it as seamless as possible, so that's not a big undertaking. It doesn't cost a whole lot of time and money and engineering hours to retrofit it to a new process. So between the ease of use of the new products and then all the work Bobby and his team and his company has put together, they've made it extremely easy where Krispy Kreme can essentially just take out the old equipment, put in a brand new back panel that Bobby has all configured, push a couple buttons, and then it's downloaded and ready to go, and you're up and running right away.
We've done a lot of testing here to make sure that from a volatile standpoint that the things go in easily. We create manuals, so someone that doesn't do this day in, day out can easily retrofit the electrical controls to make their machines continue to operate.
On that same note, what about the IoT Remote Connection for service and data monitoring? Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, and that is a big thing in industry right now, which means how do I get my machine that's here to connect to the cloud that's there? Or how can I bring my plants or my restaurants or whatever it is together? Or how do I get the data from my machine to me? Okay, so we're so used to these days having a cell phone with apps that we're so connected to our Amazon accounts and everything else. I mean, it just makes sense, and you guys have done it. You've made it so we can connect thoroughly using TIE portal software and the hardware. We can connect and get the metrics that 20 years ago, 15, even 10 years ago, we could not get through the Internet of Things and things like OPC UA within TIE portal. We're able to get the data off. We're more intelligent. We can make decisions sooner. Like predictive analytics and things like that, and or remote troubleshooting.
Yeah, having that connectivity everywhere through the newer technology with Ethernet and, like we said, the IoT devices where you can actually pump that up into the cloud and access it from anywhere has been really a game changer for them, because like you said, if something goes down in the middle of the night, in the old days, Bobby would have to get on a flight next day, get out there, it would take a bunch of time to get there and get on site and mess with it. Where now he can, from his living room, connect on, see what's going on, troubleshoot it, and then hopefully get it fixed within a few minutes. So it's saved them a ton of time, a ton of money and downtime costs. It's been a real game changer.
So why the need for the legacy platform migration?
As mentioned earlier, there is a life cycle with anything pretty much in the controls world, where it's a race to space, we'll call it, where product manufacturers are trying to innovate yearly instead of every 10 years, which is a good thing. It gives us features. Siemens is trying to, what they call engineering efficiencies, so they're trying to take the burden off of me. They're trying to make solving an application easier. So when I show up, it's not a head scratcher, and maybe that's why I have so much gray hair at such an early age thus far, but they're really helping with solve the engineering solution before we show up.
Yeah, it's had a number of benefits for their production as well. Some of the, although the old products were very good and they didn't have a whole lot of issues back in the day, the ease of use has tremendously increased over time. So, at this point now, it's very easy just to go on the screen of a product like a variable frequency drive and program that drive directly from it, or if you have some kind of issue, it'll tell you exactly what the problem is, exactly how to fix it on the front. For example, the tuning capabilities in these newer drives have gotten a lot better, that when you actually go to commission that drive or that machine and tune it, it becomes a lot more efficient, because it's mapped into exactly what that process is doing. So overall, it helps them become, like I said, more efficient, but also increase some of their production as well.
Yeah. I mean, you make it sound so easy, but obviously there were some challenges. Okay?
Of course.
What challenges did you face in having to migrate that old technology into 21st century technology?
Yeah, sometimes it's mechanical. Sometimes it's, can a new product fit back? They're not always smaller. You think everything's now faster and smaller. That's not always the case. With your competitors, we see that be an issue quite often. So that's one of them, making it fit. Taking machinery down to do this when it's not planned or unplanned downtime, which we don't want. So making that time, that window, with how it's been married with the Think-PLC processes, with the solutions that Siemens offers, we've made it easy to implement step by step.
Now, you've talked about, the ease of step-by-step, but how do your customers manage their businesses as technology is constantly changing?
That's definitely a challenge for a lot of the companies that we work with. They have so many better things going on. They have to deal with their own business, what they do on a day-to-day. They're not always thinking about, I wonder what this machine in the back of my plant is, how old it's getting, or is there new technology. So that's really our job.
Yeah.
That's where me and Bobby come in. That's where we're supposed to keep the companies that we work with up to date. Hey, this came out, this is new, this can maybe help you with this. So we really like partnering with companies like Krispy Kreme and working together on this to know exactly what is going on in their process. And then companies that are open to hearing, hey, periodically can you come in and tell us what's new and tell us if you think you can help us solve this solution? Because that's really what we're focused on, is getting the best solution for the customer, so the ones that are open to it really have an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, as the article states, and Krispy Kreme attests to, is taking on that burden for, they make donuts, or I make widgets, and they want to continue to do that effectively. So when we come in, we give them one with means of experience. We give them that satisfaction that it will be done in a timely manner. It will work when we do it, because in the retrofit business, which is heavily what we do outside of OEM work like the Krispy Kreme, these machines, they last a long time. You can still get pillow block bearings, and you can make shafts in your machine shop in the back, but the electrical controls that come from Europe are complicated. They've been gone through over the years, and it's, I'm sure they stay up at night worrying what day, when, not if, when it goes down. And our customers, they engage with us, a year in advance sometimes. They say, we know this is a problem, and we've been in the process of migrating a solution, and it go down, and they say, I know it was going to be another month before we did this. We need you today. It's done. And that's just good decision making as a manufacturer.
Now, you mentioned Krispy Kreme quite a bit, and we know that Krispy Kreme is a worldwide company with stores in Australia and in Russia and places like that. They're remote locations. You're in Welcome, North Carolina.
Yep.
How do you face that challenge of dealing with companies that are around the world, but you're here in Welcome?
Yeah. We have processes that we have fine-tuned over the years, that from a service support, we can act quickly. The technology, and there again is another reason why we may have a conversation about migrating your control packages. We can, at 9 o'clock at night, I can hop on any Wi-Fi connection, I can remote in and help you. That becomes a big thing. Obviously, once we do this, we look for them to not have to call us. But in a company like that, taking the industry 4.0 IoT, the Internet of Things as we know it, where we can get that connectivity, I can get a secure connection over internet. Internet is good enough to house that. We can get in, we can troubleshoot, and over the phone, someone local, we can help quick. And I know you guys are working diligently in Industry 4.0. What are you seeing, I guess?
That's really where the industry's going, and that's where we're trying to make a lot of advancements currently, and for the last couple of years now, we've really been engaging on, what is the next step? Where is digitalization? Where's Industry 4.0 going to take the industry? And, a number of years back, Siemens started thinking about this and saying, okay, you hear a lot of buzzwords like big data and cloud computing and the industrial Internet of Things, but there's not really any solutions yet to take it out to actual companies. So over the last couple of years, we've really started developing a lot more smart devices that, like you said, can be out in the field, monitoring data, recording that data, and then through the connectivity that we were talking about, you can send that up into the cloud. And Siemens has been working on their MindSphere platform for a number of years now, where you can take all that data, gather it together, put it into one app. We have a number of pre-made apps, and then you can go through and actually analyze that data, set trends to it, see if you can develop some information based on previous data and what we're predicting to happen in the future. So that's really where we see the industry going, is is garnering all that data, using it to make informed decisions, using it to maybe predict something may happen to a motor, for example.
Right.
If it's hot for too long, you can say, oh, maybe you should do some maintenance on that instead of just waiting for it to go down.
Yeah.
And then if we want to go even further than that, I mean, with artificial intelligence and with machine learning, now that you're able to actually get that data and put it up into a cloud platform like MindSphere, you can start to use those AI algorithms and the machine learning to actually make adjustments to your machine on the fly so you can get better production out of it.
We used to see guys, they wanted a spreadsheet, and then they would organize that spreadsheet, move it into another spreadsheet, and then what they would do is look at the statistics on it. Someone look at that production-wise daily, and then make a decision on planned maintenance. And MindSphere has the apps and the ability to let you know and predict exactly when you will have a failure in your machine. You guys have the digital twin. We're seeing a lot of simulation, whereas they want to simulate the process beforehand and during to know exactly when downtime is going to occur.
Right.
Now, that being said, you and Think-PLC, Bobby, have had to keep these Krispy Kreme machines running. Okay, obviously, whenever we see the hot light on, we know that those machines have been running.
Oh, yeah.
How logistically was this accomplished in between production?
Yeah. So the first rollout with the kits definitely was unplanned maintenance. So it was emergency. You know, we have a failure. We have remote connectivity, so we can identify what it is. So we're not guessing and wasting days at that point. And then we can make the decision to roll the kit out. The kit that we did takes about an hour, hour and a half to install. And so between the hot light, which typically is about 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., that's when, you know, strategically, I think that's when the kids are in and out of school, right? So we typically plan around that overnights and weekends. I've got to say that my service group has done an amazing job of traveling in the midst of COVID, and I know that's a hot topic now, to continue and retrofit these stores to keep them going.
Okay, we will get to COVID-19 here shortly, but do me a favor. What were your hopes to improve the efficiency or production for these machines as well?
Absolutely. The drive kits were absolutely necessary because the product that ran the machine before was no longer available. So we had to fix the problem. So first we jump in, Matt helps. We identified the conversion products that we need and products that are off the shelf, they're available, they're supported here in the U.S., stocked by local distributors, supported by us. In doing that, we went to work building the kits. So we brought it into the Think-PLC lab here. We actually run the machine. We put it under a burden test like you would see in the store. We don't start with brand new motors. We don't start with brand new pumps and equipment. We get old equipment and we start there. One neat thing with the drive kits, as mentioned in the article, we use the tuning technology that Matt referenced earlier, and we did a dynamic tune, whereas the sensorless vector mode that's available in the G120, which is a high-end feature for a low-cost drive, in my opinion, a good drive, we were able to tune the motor for the frequencies and cabling that run the shortening pump. The shortening pump runs at a really low frequency, and as you know, AC motors running low frequency, low hertz and volts per hertz, it's going to make heat.
Yeah,
it's going to generate heat. And so in testing, we obviously run for a number of days our kit, and we started noticing, not because we were trying to, but we started noticing that this pump's running cooler. And so we dug in using the trace function in TIE portal and in start drive and found that we were running less current by doing nothing but changing the tune of the drive. And our temperature was 34% of the temperature before. And what that means in the life of an electric motor is that it means the life of it. So it means, you know, issues around unplanned downtime not being a problem as much in potential statistically as you would before.
Excellent. Obviously, those were very positive changes that were made for the company.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. How has COVID-19 affected your business, affected businesses here in this pandemic?
Oh, yeah.
I can start.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's been affected, so I would like to say that, you know, Siemens, in my mind, has done a really great job from the beginning. It was something that Siemens management took very seriously. They saw this coming as it started to spread throughout Europe and come from Asia, and they pretty much from the very beginning said, we got to put safety measures in place to keep everybody safe. So they temporarily closed offices across the world. They had everybody that could work from home so they could stay safe and be just near their families, not around everybody else at the office. They sent us PPE in the mail. I actually got a package full of masks and hand sanitizer and everything else you need to keep safe during this. And even in the very beginning, our CEO made an announcement. He said, you know, this is unordinary circumstances. We're going to get through it. We're not going to cut any jobs. We're going to get through this together. Yeah. And so I've loved working for Siemens since the beginning, but the last year or so has made me really proud to work for Siemens. And then from a business standpoint, you know, we still have a job to do. You know, our customers, like Krispy Kreme, they still have to run. They still have to make production. Yeah. They still have to, you know, they were doing a lot of other great things like handing out donuts to first responders. Yeah. So we still need to be able to get their equipment to these companies so that they can do their business. Yeah. So one thing that we did in the U.S. really early on, which ended up being a great move, was we kind of anticipated that there'd be factory closures. So we ended up stocking up on a lot of product here in the U.S. that we can kind of ride out maybe the dips in the factory. If we had to close down for a couple of weeks, we couldn't get product made. Yeah. Well, luckily we had enough on the shelf here in the U.S. So we were still able to deliver product. We've invested in a lot of web conferencing softwares and software, like we said, that we can work from home and just help somebody out by calling in or connecting into their machine from your living room. Right. You know, it's made it really easy to ride through this whole thing.
No
and
excuses.
Still be successful. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the thing with Siemens. They have not given excuses. It has felt like an on year, to be honest with you. So I thank you. We had to take things that we hoped to do in 2020 and roll them out in a hurry, in weeks. I can't imagine how we worked before Microsoft Teams. And we were not using it effectively before COVID hit in March. I was in Melbourne, Australia, helping Krispy Kreme start up a system to improve the production in Australia and Melbourne. And I'm getting phone calls saying, they possibly are going to shut down the borders. You need to get back. So we had no clue. And as a business owner, it was humbling. Mm-hmm. You know, traditionally, your people show up to an office and they execute work. And that was going to be a thing that didn't exist after today. So we really pivoted on that. We forced ourselves to implement the goals we had set for 2020 with, like say, implementing 365 to its fullest with Microsoft Teams, improving our web conferencing. We took our CAD software to the cloud to make it more agile so we could all work at home together. And it's been interesting. With that being said, as the article mentions, we had, before COVID, we had this Times Square flagship store for a big company, an iconic brand, which is Krispy Kreme, and there was no failing there. There was no room for failure. There was no excuses that could be made. And I have to say that my engineers and service guys, they didn't question. They were in the epicenter of New York City in March, April, May, helping their business move along, helping our society just stay normal of some sort. We had a job to do, and I've got to say, my team is amazing. So it's been a big deal. So looking forward to what things look like outside of COVID.
Well, again, you know, whether it's Siemens, whether it's Think-PLC, you were able to support your companies, you know, during this pandemic, and that's, again, very admirable for the two companies. All right, we've got, people are asking, what's next? What future technologies can we look forward to seeing in the near future? Not 25 years from now, but what's on the horizon for Siemens and Think-PLC?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot more of that kind of industrial Internet of Things that we started to get into earlier. A lot of pumping data up into the cloud and using it to, you know, analyzing it and interpreting it in order to assess trends, and then make improvements based on that. So we're seeing the companies that adopt this newer technology really having a significant competitive advantage over others that don't, because they're able to get a lot more production out of their machines.
Yeah.
They're able to avoid having issues on the line because they can predict it ahead of time. They're able to, see maybe lower their energy costs because they're actually tracking a lot of that data as they go throughout. So there's a lot of things that you can prove just on the factory floor by using all of these new technologies that are coming out.
We're seeing what used to take hardware coupling and software coupling to get data or to do an inherent feature become available. Motion now is available in all the processors, motion control technology. OPC UA, even in the low cost platforms, is available now. So it looks to me like we are looking ahead from a technology standpoint, and as an engineer and a business that has to implement it, I'm excited about it. But I tell you, it's definitely a race to get up to speed with what's going on. Even even being right in the mix of it, there's a lot happening right now, a lot pivoting around Industry 4.0, and the products are available. So I also seeing a lot of the products merge together. What do you think about that? I'm seeing PLCs become drives and drives become PLCs.
Yeah.
So what are you working on?
Yeah, with the enhancements in processing power and people starting to realize, a lot of these products do kind of the same thing, but or they're becoming more and more like the same product. So why not combine a few of them? So I believe you're alluding to our drive controller that's coming out. That's basically a combination of the drives control unit and a PLC, a motion PLC, so you can do that all in one, and it saves you a lot of hardware, saves you a lot of programming, saves you some speed from not having to connect to each other over Ethernet.
TIA Portal already has all of that together, so think of having to set up a PLC and commission that, take the time to do it, and then get it to communicate to the drive system. Why not just have it done for you?
Right.
You're going to have those two things anyway. It's kind of ingenious.
Yeah, and because TIA Portal has all of the different components in it, it's not like the old days where you had to program, say you're driving this software and then the PLC in this one, and then your soft starts in this one and the HMI in another. It's all.
And you got to keep up with that for 20 years, right?
Yeah, and all the different firmware revisions. Yeah, now it's all in one. It's all baked into the same hardware catalog, the same software, and you can just drag and drop to connect them, and it makes it way easier.
Yeah, that's where we're getting to. I mean, it's fun how technology is changing, and it's changing from a business standpoint. We are referring to ourselves as the integrator of the 21st century. And what does that mean? It just means we're not the traditional old guys to come help you. We're not the just traditional suppliers. We're thinking outside of the box. We're doing things as ways of how companies like us have always done them. We scratch that and we say, how can we do it the way we want to do it? Our people are our business, and we're really focused on building a culture here, a servant culture, where our customers are happy to see us and we're happy to see our customers because we're the guys that help get that done.
And another thing you kind of alluded to earlier was one of the ways we're seeing the industry go is the adoption of the digital twin.
Yeah.
And essentially what the digital twin allows you to do is map out, say, your entire machine or even entire factory floor virtually, in a digital way without actually having to buy any of the hardware or go through and program any of the physical hardware. You can do it all virtually on your computer.
Yeah.
And then you can go through and see if it's actually going to work. You can see if your program, if there's anything that can be improved, make adjustments to it before you actually buy all of that hardware and implement everything, which think how powerful that is, because if you get all this hardware in and there's something wrong with it that you could have spec'd out in the very beginning, you've already saved yourself tons of time, calling you in the middle of the night.
Next day air parts and is it available and does the fix work? Is this the fix? That's always the $1 million question, right?
Right.
I agree 100%.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I'd like to thank our viewers. I would like to thank our guests for joining me today, Mr. Matt Wagner, again, motion specialist for Siemens, and Bobby Cole, who's the founder and president of Think-PLC. I'm Jason Israel. Thank you for watching. For more information about what you've seen today, go to usa.siemens.com or reach out to your local Siemens distributor. Think-PLC.com, the systems integrator of the 21st century.